Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Ask Jameen. I am Nikki Willis, and
I'm Jameen Willis.
yes, and today we are answering the question: is buying cheaper than renting? Now, before we get started, I just wanted to thank all of those who have subscribed, who have watched our videos, who have commented, who've sent us emails, who've headed over to our website and have done searches. We appreciate all the viewership and all of your support. Definitely keep commenting, keep sending us questions. We love helping you guys. And we've had so many people join us for the webinars and have engaged us in the webinars. And so we want to send a huge thank you to those as well. You guys are awesome. And we'll keep doing these webinars, the home ownership webinars, and how to prepare yourself for home ownership. So if you've missed it, if you haven't had a chance to check it out, we do these quite often now, at least about every other week. So you'll be able to catch one soon. You can follow us on Instagram at the Willis Team LV, the Willis Team LV on Facebook as well. And, we're just all over. So you can also send us an email to find out when the next one is. All right, so let's get started. Let's ask this question and let's answer this question. Is buying cheaper than renting? Babe, take it away.
Yep, so this is a pretty popular question that people ask online when people get ready to determine if they should buy or they should rent. So is buying cheaper than renting? So the short answer is, for the most part, if you live in Vegas or you're considering moving to Las Vegas or Henderson or Summerlin, especially here in Henderson, there's a lot of things going on. We have the Raiders moving here. We have a minor league hockey team that's about to come here.
Yes.
On top of all the people that already relocate to Henderson and Vegas, in general every year. So rent is increasingly going up. And so that's just across the board, not just in Vegas, but if you live in a up-and-coming city, an up-and-coming area, rent is going to continue to go higher and increase more. If you have something new like a pro football team or a stadium or a lot of redevelopment happening in the city that you live in, rent can go up even higher than normal. For the most part, the rate of inflation or rent increases is about 3% every year.
Okay.
So rent is going to continue to go up. So for right now, with low interest rates, rent rising, and just the overall inflation, for the most part, it is cheaper right now.
Okay.
Monthly payment wise to buy versus to rent.
Okay, so monthly payment wise.
Monthly payment wise, for the most part, it is cheaper to buy than to rent. So I'll give you an example. If you're looking for something like a 3-bedroom, 2 full bath house, in Henderson. If you were to buy a 3-bedroom, 2 full bath house in Henderson, the payment would be roughly on average a couple $100 cheaper than if you rented a 3-bedroom, 2 full bath in Henderson.
Okay.
So you have to look at those factors. Now there is some exceptions. Renting is definitely cheaper than buying if you buy a very small house, a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom house. Or if you rent just a 1-bedroom, of course it's going to be cheaper than buying a house because there's not a lot of 1-bedroom houses or even condos that's available.
Right.
So if it's just you, if you're just starting out, this is your first place, a first apartment, and you don't want to spend a lot of money on housing, renting would definitely be cheaper, because if you're getting a small place or just a 1-bedroom or something like that, something in the Arts District downtown or something like that, for the most part, it's going to be cheaper than buying a house.
Okay.
So as far as cheaper, the monthly payment for the most part to buy is cheaper, but there's other things that we have to consider.
Right.
So although that
so the mortgage is cheaper.
the mortgage is cheaper,
for the most part.
but you have to factor in other things over the course of the year, like maintenance.
Right.
So when you say that buying is cheaper than renting, that may not be true when you factor in everything that you have to pay over the year, such as maintenance.
Yeah.
So if something breaks down, when you own the home, there are things that you can put in place, like a home warranty.
Yeah.
And when you buy it, get an inspection and things like that,
Yeah.
and making sure things are updated. But when you own a home, if something breaks down, it's up to you to fix it. When you rent, maintenance is included in your rent, and those things you don't have to pay to have repaired, and that's not an expense that you have to pay.
Okay.
So in the course of considering or preparing yourself to buy a house, you have to also afford that monthly payment, but you also have to afford the maintenance and the upkeep of a home, which is a factor of, is it cheaper, all around, other than the monthly payment.
I remember in one we said you don't want to be house broke.
Right. Yeah. You want a house to be.
You don't want to be house broke.
A house, owning a home can be a blessing or a burden.
Yeah.
And you want to have take all those factors into consideration when you make that decision, and when you prepare, you want to take all of those factors into consideration as you're preparing. So you're not only prepared for the monthly payment, you're prepared for the maintenance too. A couple other things too that you want to consider is when you buy a house, you're able to write off all of the interest that you pay on a mortgage.
Okay.
So it's another tax deduction. So when you talk about cheaper, you don't get a tax deduction for the rent that you pay. So you basically pay, if you look at it from a tax or financial implication, you're paying all interest when you're paying rent, because none of it is going towards principal, because you don't own it.
Right.
So when you buy a house or you own a home, you can write off that interest, and you're able to write off the interest that you pay, which is a savings or a reimbursement, or however you want to look at it.
That's a good incentive. Yeah.
But renting is just that. It's almost like you're paying, all interest. It's almost like you're kind of similar to renting a car, really. So that's something to consider from a financial aspect. That's definitely one of the benefits of buying a house or home ownership. If that's not that important to you, the monthly payment is important.
Yeah.
You kind of can look at it from that standpoint. Another thing from a financial standpoint is renting is most times or often cheaper initially for the deposit or down payment. So when you think about buying versus renting, it's the deposit of what you have to put down on renting a place versus the down payment that you may have to
buying
pay.
A home
can be a lot of times higher. So from that standpoint,
it can be up to sometimes 20%, depending on what you qualify for.
Buying a home versus renting would be more expensive in that case. Now there are exceptions, like we say, like if you get down payment assistance or you get a grant, you may put the same amount of money down or maybe even less, but for the most part, a security deposit for a rent is going to be lower than down payment for a house. So we talked about maintenance. So that's something that you want to factor, and I think a lot of people don't take that into consideration, because you may be able to afford that monthly payment, but it's like if something breaks down, do you have that money? And that's why we've been doing these classes, to prepare yourself for home ownership classes, so you not only are aware of what it costs to get the house, but to keep the house.
Yes,
and
we want you to keep your house
and to maintain it, and that's what it's all about. We don't want to just get people in the house. We want to get you in the house and keep you in the house too. And that's just a good personal goal to have. You don't want to get something and then not be able to keep it or not be able to maintain it.
So true.
So home ownership is great. You guys, I just want to say, man, there is absolutely nothing wrong with renting until you get prepared to buy. the thing is, you definitely want to get prepared to buy, because it's just good to own something. It's good to say, I can rent this out, I can give it to my kids one day, I can remodel it. You can't do that when you don't own it. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with renting until you get in the position to buy and you've considered all of the factors and all the things that come with home ownership. Owning a home is great, and we love to help people buy a house, but we love to help people prepare and rent a place until they are in a position to buy. So this time was pretty much short and sweet.
Short and sweet, y'all.
Yeah. It's, for the most part, it is definitely cheaper on a monthly to buy right now with low interest rates than to rent. And if you live in a on and popping area like Vegas, Henderson, rent is going to continue to get higher and higher. So rent while you need to, rent until you get in position to buy. And if home ownership is a goal for you, let's work to get you prepared to buy a home.
Sure.
So guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Ask Jameen. Hey, if you have a question that you want answered on the podcast, shoot us an email.
Yes.
Shoot us an email to the Willis Team LV at gmail.com for a chance for your question to be answered on the podcast. It could be the next topic of the next episode. And if you have just a general question, you can find us on the web. It's the WillisTeamLV.com.
All right, guys. So that was another episode of Ask Jameen. Have a great week, and we will see you next week. Bye.